Hello, welcome to another project update. So today I didn't make a whole lot of like progress with the level, but I did make a lot of changes to scripts in the game. And I know it's probably not what you're expecting, but I do think that it was a kind of that I do think it was an important change. Alright, so I would say the most notable change is, hold on, where is it? Oh, here it is. So I renamed the data for I renamed the class name for this for the dungeon data. So originally this was called, hold on. Originally this class was called Dungeon Save Data, and I changed to Level Save Data to make it a bit more ubiquitous because I feel like a lot of this stuff is useful outside of dungeons. I mean, so this script this class was created with the intention of containing save data that's meant to keep track of dungeon stuff like obtained keys, whether the boss is defeated, or whether the boss key is obtained, which rooms have been explored, doors unlocked, other sorts of stuff. But I do think that a lot of this stuff, like for example, there's like this miscellaneous data field and this looted chests um, like array, which I feel like would probably be useful outside of dungeons. So I decided to rename it to level save data, and then I fixed all of the scripts that are dependent on this so that they are have the correct stuff. And that's what a lot of these edits are. And yeah, so this another thing I did is I updated the boss loot system. So if you remember from um, yesterday's video, as soon as I defeated the boss, it spawned this loot item. It's a what that item was. What it was an HP upgrade item that makes it so that you have like a permanent health increase. Basically, the same thing as a heart container from Legend of Zelda series. Pick it up, you get a permanent health increase, and yeah. So what I realized today is that the system that I had set up was fundamentally flawed. So the existence of that loot was dependent on the a script that ran as the boss is defeated. But that begs the question: what happens if the player doesn't pick up the heart container and then leaves, and then comes back? Well, it would have disappeared. The heart container would have permanently disappeared, and it basically it would basically become unobtainable. So I created a loot spawning system. So there's two. There's like a This is basically the same thing as a chest, except for instead of playing. So it uses the loot table system that it's kind of like a combination between the chest system in this game, which keeps track of whether you've looted the chest. In fact, it actually uses the same terminology, check if chest's looted. But instead of activate instead of hold on, let me try to figure out right with the right words are to use. Sometimes I can't talk. Instead of like activating the chest loot animation and make so that like the item appears, well, this still can happen, but instead of that happening, it it basically spawns a pickup version of the item, and then if the player picks it up, it may or may not keep track of whether or not that item is oh, hold on, I forgot to do something. Hold on. If save looted stakes. saved. All right. Level data. The chests. Add loot ID. Okay. So now if the loot spawner is set so that whether or not that item has been looted is to be like kept track of, it will keep track of it when the player picks it up. Unfortunately, I don't have time to test this, and I'll be honest, it's probably bugged somewhere, and I haven't in a way that I haven't that I don't know about. But I don't. It's kind of late right now, and I don't really have time to go and test it. There's this generic one, and then there's also this boss version. Hold on, where is it? Here it is. So it's basically an extension of that, except it checks to see if the area boss is defeated, and also if it has been collected already. So this gets called. There are two ways that this can be called. This is a public. This activate method is public, which means that it can be triggered by the boss being defeated, or it can be triggered when the level is like when the node is initialized. So when it's initialized, if the boss has been defeated, it calls the activate method, and then if it has not been already, or if it has already been looted, then it cancels out. It returns, but otherwise it spawns in the boss loot. So it checks two things: whether the boss has been defeated and also whether it's been looted. This gets if this gets triggered by the defeat of the boss, then it doesn't bother. Then obviously it doesn't bother with this because it doesn't get run. It just checks to see if it's already been looted. And that's pretty much everything that I've done today. I don't really have time to go over all of these scripts over here. They're basically just me switching the terminology from DungeonData to LevelData, so that the scripts actually function now. Anyways, that's probably it for today's video. Sorry if that was a little bit boring, but it was necessary for me to do because, well, yeah, it's definitely necessary. Actually, no. I think that renaming the dungeon level script is probably not super necessary, but it does make it easier for me as a developer to like understand what's what, and if I use it for stuff outside of the dungeon, then I won't get confused by my own stuff, which is a real danger when you have these big projects. Yeah, anyways, that's probably it for today's video. I'll see you next time. Bye bye.